Guys, after subscribing to this channel, please make sure that you also press the bell icon so that no notification, no new video of mine, any educational video, is missed by any. Okay. So I welcome one and all in tonight's class. I hope it's going to be fun and full with a lot of knowledge and information to all of you, especially right before the practicals. And I'd like to keep it very short and crisp, up to the point. I would not be wasting the time of my dear students, especially the ones who will be seeing the recording of this class. So we'll start with the class. I have enough number of participants, so we're going to start away with the class very soon. At the same time, I have to give this announcement, guys, because so many of you have approached me with the OSCE, and I have, I think, a bundle of, I don't know how many questions of OSCE I have, and I'm making all volumes OSCE 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's been a request of OSCE 3 as well, right before 6th February, though we are already 3rd Feb is there, and I'll try my best to come up with OSCE 3 at least, which encompasses most of the confusing questions of OSCE which have come up till now in the exams. Though I have been answering my students as they've been asking me on the channel, on my WhatsApp, on everywhere, so I'm just answering them there and then. But at the same time, I do understand that the many students would be benefited if I take one more OSCE. So I'm going to be doing that. Like I said, I'm running a little busy because of a couple of things which are going on at my end. But nevertheless, I have always stood by my students, and I would love to come up with an OSCE right before your exams. Whether it is a live class or a recorded session, just put on my channel. But I will come up with the difficult and questions of OSCE and put them up on your channel before 6th Feb. At least one more. I'll try to do that definitely. So for as far as now sutures, needles are concerned, and ward rounds is concerned, these are three important aspects which I'm going to be discussing in tonight's class, and we'll go a little faster as compared to usual days. And this is basically because I have to cover a lot, specifically the ward rounds, which was not earlier there. So now, not my practical group, these three things were kind of somehow left. So I'm very, very happy. Thank you for all my students for bringing this up, and me going to be taking a class for you, because there are certain concepts which needs to be absolutely crystal clear in everybody's mind regarding sutures and needles. All right. First of all, not a lot is asked on sutures and needles, but the moment you are caught, you have no way to go, because you are a budding surgeon. So you need to know your sutures, you need to know your needles, and there's a lot written about sutures and needles and everything, but in practical life you do not need to know that much. Today's class is all about that, what can be asked in your exams and how much you're expected to know. All right, so let's start. We'll start with sutures first, because a lot is there for sutures. Needles not so much, and needles not going to be asked also so much. First of all, guys, quickly just tell me how many of you or your seniors or your colleagues have been asked about sutures and needles. How many of you know about this a little bit also? Like, you've been obviously asking your seniors to tell you what came in their Viva. So how many of you were asked about needles and sutures? Your seniors, juniors, anything? Your colleagues, or maybe you are giving it for the second time. Were you asked about sutures, needles? Anybody? Quickly, guys, just drop in an answer. I hope you all can hear my voice, guys. I didn't ask this question. I hope you all can hear my voice, can see my screen, and everybody's active in the chat box. Where are my students? Where are my favorite students? The ones who always answer. Where are they? Okay, all right. So, fine. I don't know. You're not answering this question. All right, never mind. So let's go ahead. Let's start with the sutures. Okay, so I'll try to give you just a basic gist of what is so important in sutures, what thing you cannot miss, right? So sutures, basically, obviously you require sutures to bind up away that organ which has been cut or has gotten cut because of whatever reasons, trauma or during surgery. All right, basically you're just trying to wind it off back. Now, the most important aspect of the sutures, which is the numbering of sutures, which is very, very important. So one is, I'll give you a question. Okay, I hope, please guys, I need you to answer. All right, I need all of you to answer, because that's going to tell me your concepts, how much I have to go in depth and how much can I skip. All right. So can you tell me, if I say number 1 suture and 1 0, which one is thicker and which one is thinner? Number 1 and 1 0. Suppose I say, okay, for this tissue I require number 1 vicryl. Okay. And I say, no, for this tissue I require 1 0 vicryl. So which one is thicker? Where are you guys? Are you there? Anybody? Where's the chat, guys? Please answer, everyone. Yes, now I can see some activity. Good, good, good. So vicryl number 1. Okay, all right. So when I say vicryl number 1, when I say 1 0, is it the same? Or do you think there is a difference between vicryl number 1 and 1 0? Somebody has written that 1 is thicker. Okay, number 1 is thicker. One has written it's the same thing. Okay, and 0 means, okay, 0 means 1 0 is thicker, is it? Do not ever mind if your answer is wrong. I would love you to have a wrong answer, because then you're going to remember it forever, for your whole life, right? This is why I always encourage you to answer in the class, and I want you to be wrong, because like I said, that in that way you're going to remember for long. My next table is going to clear your doubts once and for all. That is why I've tried to put it in tabular form. There's got a lot of tables in the PPT tonight, because I'm going to give you those concepts crystal clear, no doubt about it. See this figure. I want you to focus here. This is what you call 1 0. Okay. No activity in chat box. Please concentrate, everybody over here, deeply, and clear your doubts once and for all. Thank you so much for replying, guys. But now just see this. This is called 1 0. Remember that when I say I want vicryl 1 0 for this, that means I'm talking about this particular thing. Whenever I say 2 0, 3 0, 4 0, it goes finer, 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 and finer. The more number of zeros, the more finer my suture becomes. And why do I need a finer suture? I need a finer suture for finer tissues. For example, I want to I want to suture the bladder. Okay, I might go for 2 0. But if I want to suture the fallopian tube, or I want to suture the ureter, they are very pristine, delicate organs. I wouldn't want a finer suture for that. Maybe 4 0 or even 3 0, right? So these are the number of zeros. What I'm saying, the 3 0, 4 0, 5 0. You know, in eye surgery, my husband is an ophthalmologist. In eye surgery, they have 10 0, 8 0, 9 0, finest sutures. Now, of course, you have sutureless surgery, but that's the level of fine sutures which you can only see through the microscope. They operate under a microscope, right? So remember that. If you remember this, then you will remember automatically everything else. So going towards number of zeros, make it finer, finer, and finer, suture. And as you go from 1 0 is the one which you use for peritoneum mostly. For the uterus, for the rectus sheath, you know what I use? What you have been using up till now? It is number 1. Number 1 vicryl. You try to use 1 0 on suture on uterus, or try to use 1 0 on rectus sheath, or you'll scold your sister or the nurse, or the scrub nurse. It's not a lot of difference, but people who are used to using vicryl number 1 find vicryl 1 0 little too delicate. The knots, when you start tying the knots, you're used to number 1, and suddenly 1 0 slips and breaks in your hand. Okay, you're used to doing the. Okay, fine. One more thing, guys. How many of you have seen the knots, the videos that I have posted? I've shown you all different kinds of knots in that. If you've not seen them, please, guys, go to the channel and see all the videos which are telling you about the knots. All right, because these are very, very important basic knots which you cannot mess around with. Okay, so I'm giving you those kind of lectures which are bare minimum which you need for your practical. Okay, you cannot not know these things. Okay, if you know these things and you're not able to answer bigger things, no problem, you will pass. The question is, the agenda is to at least pass, right? So if you do not mess up with these things, you are going to pass. All right, so once more, let me just revise this thing to you. So when you're using, it's a slightly delicate, I would say. 1 0 is slightly delicate as compared to number 1. So there are people who say, when the scrub nurse asks, ma'am, you want 1 0, you want number 1. I have seen surgeons fumble here.
give me anything, it's okay. And then they give 1 0, and it's slightly, a little more delicate as compared to number 1. When they tie the knots using the, instrument tie, they keep breaking in between, they keep slipping and breaking, right? So 1 0, I would prefer number 1. Even for the pedicles and hysterectomy and everything I prefer number 1. Maybe for some few tissues I might use 1 0, but usually we carry with 1 suture. It's easy for the scrub nurse, it's easy for us. Number 2 we've hardly used, but what you mostly use is vicryl number 1, and I hope now you know that vicryl number 1 is different from 1 0. 1 0 has a different diameter, see this one, and this is slightly thicker. So everybody who said vicryl number 1 is thicker than 1 0, congratulations, you are right. The moment I say 1 0, it is thinner as compared to vicryl number 1. This is the favorite question of examiner, and this is what they're going to ask you in exam. Here's what they want to confuse you in. If I was sitting in the exam as an examiner, the only probably question that I'm going to ask a student will be this: which one, vicryl number 1 or vicryl 1 0? Which one is thicker and why? Or are they the same? The first question. So here only I'll decide whether this person knows or not, does not know. That means you're going to fumble only, or you will fail only one station by one examiner. Okay, again you have chance, don't worry.